I mentioned, CAIR and the law offices of Maria Kari have filed a lawsuit against the State Department for failing to evacuate American citizens, American legal residents, and the family members of Americans trapped under Israeli bombardment in Gaza. And one of the plaintiffs in this case, Samia Abul-Rish, is from the Central California region, and she's currently living in these dire circumstances without basic necessities. And while she's done everything in her power to escape this bombardment, she has yet still been unable to receive that support. Her brother Nafis joins us, and we'll get to him shortly. And now I'll hand it off to our senior civil rights attorney, Layli Shirani, to discuss the legal merits of the case.
Hi, assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you, Rashad. Good morning to all who are joining us. I'm just going to make a few general comments. I'm not going to get into the meat of the lawsuit itself, but fundamentally, what we're talking about is a situation where we have Palestinian Americans, we have Americans of Palestinian origin who are being treated differently by the State Department and by the United States government. And what this lawsuit is basically doing is calling attention to that kind of discriminatory act on the part of the government. We have Americans of different national origins. We've had Israeli Americans. We've had other Americans who have been trapped in similarly difficult situations, or perhaps not even. I don't know of a time when Americans have been trapped in circumstances similar to the ones that are being faced by the Palestinian Americans presently in Gaza. But whenever that has happened, our government has acted with appropriate urgency to evacuate them. What we do know is that the State Department has been referring to the closure of the Rafah crossing as a reason for its failure to evacuate these Palestinian Americans. However, we are aware of the fact that there is another means of exit from Gaza, and that is the Kerem Shalom crossing, and that successful evacuations have been conducted through that route. Basically, I think what we're really getting at here is that Palestinian Americans are Americans, and all Americans should be treated the same under the Constitution, and that's what this lawsuit is alleging. And as Rashad said earlier, this lawsuit doesn't come out of nowhere. This lawsuit is the unfortunate and necessary result of so many efforts and so much concern and stress and suffering on the part of the family members of the people who are trapped there, and the people, of course, who are living under extremely, extremely difficult and dangerous circumstances, in fear for their lives on a daily basis, which is sadly an entirely rational fear. Anyway, with that in mind, I will hand it back to Rashad to introduce Nafis Abul-Rish, our plaintiff's brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Layli. Welcome, Assalamu alaikum, Brother Nafis.
Wa alaikum assalam.
And we have just a few questions that we'll share with you, and we look forward to hearing. Let's see, maybe we make sure we switch you here to the spotlight. All right. Wonderful. Thank you for joining us today. This is Brother Nafis Abul-Rish, Samia's brother. Brother Nafis, can you tell us a little bit about the situation your sister's in Gaza currently?
Currently, she is living with my brother and his son and his wife in a tent, a makeshift tent in the middle of Gaza, Deir al-Balah, that is exactly, very close to the sea. They don't have any access to clean water, drinking water, or bathing water, or bathrooms. They have a makeshift bathroom, a hole in the ground to use it. Food is very hard to get, very expensive, and very hard situation during the winter time right now with the situation, rain and cold. Usually it's very cold in Gaza at this time of the year. Temperature reaches low 30s every day, every night, high 50s maybe on the day.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry to hear that. And maybe if you take us back as well, when did she first travel to Gaza, and what were the circumstances of her travel?
Well, she traveled to Gaza back early August 2023, and the intention of she's going to visit my brothers and sisters, nephews there, and the intention of me joining her late in January 2024, which I purchased the ticket, and we usually go through Rafah crossing. We go travel to Egypt, then we cross to Gaza, which I did go this year, early January to go to. Since I purchased the ticket, I went there and stayed in Egypt for like 2 weeks. Stayed with my sister there in Egypt. I was hopeful that I can go to Gaza, that the war would stop and we'll go and come back together. But unfortunately, it did not happen.
Mhm. In the home that she was visiting, was this home bombed?
Well, I have two brothers there, and we have a family home that my nephews and nieces and one of my brothers still live there. The apartment she was living with my brother was totally destroyed, brought down to the ground, to the level they leveled it. My other house, that the family house, sustained a lot of damage. It got hit by a rocket on the top of the roof. The houses around that house, the buildings around our house, is destroyed, and that affected our house, tremendously. Uh, I have pictures. I've shown one of my friends here that videos of our house and the surrounding area, as well as the apartment my sister was living in after it was bombed.
I'm sorry to hear that. And could you tell us if she was injured at any point during this time?
Yes, they evacuated from where we live in middle of Gaza, which a beach camp called Muaskar al-Shati. They walked all the way about 10 kilometers to Deir al-Balah. In one of the situation, they were bombing around them, and she was hiding and running with my brothers and nephews, and she sustained injuries to her ankle that was fractured or little bit, and they had to carry her around because she couldn't walk on it for the about 2 kilometers at that time.
Sorry to hear that. And could you tell us a little bit more? I know you mentioned the circumstances that she's currently in the camp. What is it like for access to medical care or medicine?
Medical care and medicine right now is very hard to get because of the Israeli not allowing medication or food or assistance to the people in Gaza. So if you are really need assistance, highly, you're injured and your injury is life threatening, that's who is preferred to get the medication first in line. uh, so to say it's hard to get assistance or medication right now.
Thank you for sharing that. And could you tell us a little bit about the last time you were in touch with your sister and what communication has been like recently?
Last time I've been on contact with her like 2 weeks ago. I tried calling this morning and they do not have internet. Usually they call me when they have access to internet. They go out of the tent, walk for a long distance to reach a center where somebody have internet available and purchase some minutes from internet to talk to me. uh, I've been helping them out, sending them assistance as much as I can. Uh, but communication, it's hard. Sometimes I send a message via WhatsApp, and it'll take them like 2 days, 3 days, sometimes more to read the message because they don't have the access to the internet.
And lastly, has any assistance been extended by the Biden administration, the State Department, or anyone here in the U.S.?
Not really. I have not. Nobody communicated with me. I filled a form to evacuate my sister early in the war,
Richmond
and
City Council approved a new housing
I'm sorry.
No, please continue.
I filed. I went on the internet, and there was application for people to file to evacuate by the State Department, which I did. I filed an application for her with her name and on her behalf to evacuate her from Gaza, but I never heard from anybody. No communication whatsoever. And I think it's in this point, I'm disappointed with the State Department because they allowed a lot of people to evacuate on the Israeli side. As the State Department, early in the bombardment and the war, they sent ships to the port of Haifa to evacuate American Israelis from Israel, which they have far less hard situation that what my sister is facing and Palestinian American facing.
Mm.
And as they said, American lives matter. I don't think it's matter as long as you're Palestinian. But if you're Israeli, yes, they assisted you and they took you out, no problem. They put you in Europe, and they even you paid for your airplane back to the United States.
Thank you again, Brother Nafez. I know this is a difficult time. We're praying for you, your family, and your sister.
Thank you.
At this time, I'll open it up to questions. We do have one question that has come in, and this is for you, Layli. There is a question on whether this is different from the suit that was brought to the State Department yesterday.
Hi, yes. Thank you for that question, Rashad. Yes, to answer simply, the answer is yes. It couldn't be more different. I mean, uh, the suit that was brought before relates to what's called the Leahy Law, and the Leahy Law essentially is a statute that prevents or prohibits U.S. government from using funds for assistance in particular circumstances. In this circumstance, what we're saying basically, not we, but what the people who filed that lawsuit are alleging, and which we agree, is that, as everybody knows, Israel receives just an incredible amount of financial and military support from the United States government. And in this case, since most of the international community agrees that what is happening and what is unfolding in Gaza right now is a genocide, and that war crimes are being committed there in circumstances where there are gross violations of human rights. The Leahy Law prohibits the use of United States funds in those instances, and they have to review that, and they have to ascertain whether that is indeed the fact. And that is what that lawsuit refers to, is the fact that they're saying that the United States government is itself in violation of the Leahy Law.
Thank you for sharing that, Layli. At this time, we'll open it up for any other questions. If you would like to raise your hand, Tasneem will invite you to unmute and ask any questions. You're also welcome to include questions in the chat. I do see one question. It looks like there's a question from Juan Carlos. Thank you for your question. The question is, how many plaintiffs are from or reside in California, and more specifically in Northern California? As I'm aware, Juan Carlos, this residing in Northern California, and this is the only plaintiff in the case from California.
Sorry, Rashad, I think you cut out.
Yes.
Just want to make sure that Juan Carlos got the answer to your question, which is that there is one plaintiff in California that we're aware of in this lawsuit. Is that correct?
Thank you. Yes. Appreciate the question. All right. If no further questions, I will direct everyone to forward any other questions, future questions that might come up, or requests for follow-up to our communications colleague Tasneem. She will share out her contact information just after this as well. And in closing, I'd really like to highlight that, you've heard today from, our legal staff, as well as from Brother Nafis himself, Samia's brother. We firmly believe that this injustice itself should have never befallen this family, and Samia in particular. The government clearly has been slow to act in this case. And so we're asking the State Department to take action to ensure that Americans are safe from Israeli government's genocide in Gaza. And we're calling on our government to do everything it can to bring our families home. Thank you all again. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.